Are your design clients bullying you? If you're nodding yes, then I think we need to talk because it's likely not even their fault. Let's dig into really managing client relationships. Welcome, I'm Sandra Funk, and this is Design Sips, where we'll raise a glass to you and think tank your business, where we can bring more joy, more balance, and more abundance to you. Let's dig into those questions. Cheers.
Alrighty. Claire says, one of my clients is continually pushing me to work outside my model. How do you deal with these bully clients?
Okay, Claire. Claire, first things first, I get it. The client wants what the client wants, right? They're pushing you around. But my take on this is that, and I come from a place of having felt bullied for years. My take on this now is that when I switched from being a yes person, right, the people pleaser mode, and I switched to being someone who really clarified my business model, presented it fully and completely in the potential client process, and then stood in my space, right? I decided how I worked best, what worked best for me, and then I communicated that absolutely clearly with absolutely no negotiability in my voice, in my stance, in the way that I approached a potential client, right? I just laid down how I worked and said, does that sound good for you or is it not a fit, right? Very much leaving it open to being, no, that doesn't really work for me. I'd rather not do this, that, and the other thing, right? So I just kept it really open and frank, and it shifted. And again, for years, I was listening to clients tell me what their deadline was and how much they thought it should cost and when they wanted to meet and when they wanted to pay for years and years and years. To all of a sudden, no conversation like that whatsoever. And it came from my decisiveness and my confidence. So I would say, let's look at this differently. Do your clients know exactly what you expect of them? What's going to happen next? Are they clearly communicated to all the time where they're never wondering what's going to go down? How's this going to happen? When you take that shift, I would suggest that you probably won't be feeling bullied at all anymore.
Absolutely. I think there's a level where, you go in to see your lawyer and they're the expert and they're going to take care of you. And I think there's a little bit more education with clients for interior designers, but I think if you can set the expectation that you're the expert, it'll really change the trajectory.
100%. Right. We don't go into our lawyer's office, our doctor's office, our CPA's office, right? We don't go into their place of work and tell them when we'd like to be invoiced, how we'd like to pay, how often we'd like to meet with them, right? No, we trust them as the expert. We play by their rules. We have to have that same level of confidence and expertise when we're presenting our business models as well.
Yes. And there is the disadvantage when you sign on clients who are already have some of those red flags and pushing you around further down the road as well.
Yes, definitely. So when we're in the potential client process, that is one of the big red flags I'm always looking for. Someone who's telling me how I'm going to run my business is not my ideal client, okay? And if they can't come to terms with the fact, you guys, there's a hair going straight into my eyeball. If they can't come to terms with the fact that I am going to run it how I am going to run it, and they can decide if they want to play ball or they want to walk on down the road and go interview the next designer and the next designer, that is so important, right? If I have someone who's like, sure, but this is how it's going to go down, I will just simply let them know that obviously my business model is not a fit for you, and it's, it doesn't seem like we're cut out to work together because it is non-negotiable. One of my favorite quotes, favorite mantras, favorite sayings is, like, there comes a time in your career there came a time in my career where I decided I am no longer negotiable. Say that with me. I am no longer negotiable. There is so much power, confidence, grace, clarity in that sentence. And when you can get clear on how you run your business and what your terms are and how it's going to work, and you can get to the point where that sentence is true for you, literally everything changes. Let's drink wine to that.
Cheers to that.
Shall we?
So Jeff asks, how do you say that no that you're talking about and stand your ground with clients without sounding rude?
Definitely. So a couple of things here. I have a wonderful standard member who I just adore. That's our business template for interior designers. It's our program. It's membership for life. I have a dear, dear designer inside the program who was like, yeah, but, when we were talking about how to say no thank you to a potential client that has all those red flags or doesn't have the right size, scope, scale, minimums, all the things. How do you say no in a kind way? And I must have given her 15 suggestions. And finally I was like, is there any version of no that wouldn't be considered rude to you? And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, so I think sometimes there's further work to do around this, right? Sometimes if there is no version of no that can possibly be seen as kind in your world, then we have to go back further, right? We have to look at where that yes, that people pleasing, that yes is so deep, it's so ingrained that it might even be like, I gotta go do some deep meditating on like, why is no such a dirty bad word, right? I've told this story before in Design Tips, so I'm gonna tell it again. My yoga teacher has us like, when we're like hanging upside down, has us shake our head, no, yes, no, back, and then back to yes, and like end on a positive. And I'm always like, no is positive. No is not negative. No is not positive. Yes is not positive. Yes is not negative, right? They have no positive or negative unto themselves, right? When we give a no that is right for us, it is positive. Yes? So we have to go back and do the work around the dirty no, because it's not dirty, right? That's number one. Number two, there are a million ways to say no in a kind way. I just gave you an example, right? It doesn't seem that my business model is fitting with what you're looking for. So I don't think this is gonna work out. I don't think we're a fit, right? Also, no is a complete sentence. So when you have a client that is red flag or downright mean or rude, we've thought about it, we've taken your project into consideration, and we've decided not to move forward with it. Right? That's just no. That's not why, with reasons and excuses and qualifications and doilies and fluff to try to make it pretty. That's just no thank you. And that's okay too. In 20 years in design, I've had, I think, one, maybe two clients come back and say, what do you mean you're not taking my project? Why not? Right? And at that point, I can just simply reiterate what I already said. We took the project into consideration, and it's just not a fit for what we're looking to do next. Right? I'm not gonna go, you don't have a big enough budget, you don't have the right scale or scope, you are full of red flags, frankly, you're a mean jerk, and I don't wanna work with you. You do not need to give excuses. You just say, I've considered it carefully, right? Give them your attention and tell them it's not a fit for what you wanna work on next. Period. Right? If you start to give excuses, my pipeline is full, it's not in our aesthetic, I just don't have the capacity right now, whatever that looks like, if you are giving excuses that are not true, that is putting it out in the universe that you don't need more clients right now because your pipeline is full, or that aesthetic is not for you, even if that aesthetic is totally perfectly fine, but you're just making things up, right? So don't tell the universe lies, be true to yourself, and just say no thank you.
Cheers to no thank you.
Wow, it was a really simple sentence and I took it into like a 5-paragraph diatribe. That's okay.
All good. So there are those clients that end up showing their true colors way into the project. So we've been talking really about potential clients, but as an example, a big thing we hear is clients asking for receipts once purchasing has begun. Mm-hmm. How do you address these requests in a way that's professional and maintains the relationship?
Sure, definitely. Yeah, and so and that's not even being a bad client. That's just like, oh, do I get a receipt for this, right? And then it's so simple. That one is like the easiest, right? It's, oh, the receipt is your signed proposal, right? You are the seller of the goods. So their receipt is with you. If they need it for their tax documents, if they need it for their will, if they need it for their insurance, all of those places, I have given receipts to clients over my 20 years in this industry. All of those places will accept a receipt from your business on your letterhead because you are the seller of those goods, period. At no point, at no time, does your client need a receipt that goes further back into who you purchased it from, right? That is not a thing. We do not go into Bloomingdale's, buy a sweater, and say, can I please have a receipt? And they're like, I just handed you your receipt. And you're like, no, I want the receipt of who you bought it from. No, of course not. Bloomingdale's sold you the sweater, the receipt is from Bloomingdale's. You sell someone a sofa, the receipt is from you, period. It never goes back further than that. In any other industry, at any other time, so why is this industry so crazy? I don't know. My goal is to make it less crazy. That's the plan. Spread the word. We're making it less crazy. Let's drink wine while we talk about that.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers. No more of the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, stop it all, y'all. That's my Nashville coming out.
And I think most of the time we assume that they're going to push back on our answer, but why not just be really clear up front and see what happens?
Exactly. And for me, any of these things that pop up over time all end up back in my design agreement and back in my potential client process, right? So I don't just fight fire in the moment and feel like, oh, cool, maybe that question will never come up again. If I have that question, I have that issue, I then build it back in. So when you work with me and my templates and all of my standards and processes, that's all built in. So again, 20 years, over 800 designers inside the program, we really head off most issues at the front because we've dealt with so many of them already, and we really make sure that we are always moving the conversation to the front of the relationship so that we are not in reaction mode. We are responding and reminding the boundaries and expectations that we already set together.
Absolutely. And cheers.
Full circle.
To boundaries and expectations.
Yeah. Two of my favorite things. So today we touched on how to say no kindly, and there is an entire video on it. Check it out.